It's time for Season 2 on Virtua Pro Football, and now that we're in a First Division club, our schedule is split between League and Cup fixtures, with the potential for us to get relatively busy if we make a good Cup run. Our financial situation is also solved, over $500,000 coming into our account, and I want to use some of that to buy red gloves and also a DVD. But first, we get pulled aside by this young lady. I would have preferred for this event to have happened during the off-season, as it is going to cost us condition, but it doesn't make a huge difference. You win this encounter regardless of whether you go seriously or gently, so I do decide to go gentle so as to not completely break her spirit. But with that out of the way, let's get the DVD. But I actually want to get the midfielder DVD rather than the forward, because all this does is increase your positional suitability, and I'm trying to make Bins more of a utility player. The gloves, meanwhile, will help boost our concentration, vision, and attack-minded parameters. Every little bit helps, but we can get a big chunk all at once if we do the relation training right. And, yep, perfect score here. So, I get 60 motivation back immediately, and look at those attribute boosts too. My regular training strategy stays the same for now, all in on speed. After this session, Alex pulls me aside because he's apparently got problems with the manager right now. This is another chance for us to take the initiative and get some leadership points, and that is what I do. PSV is very top-heavy talent-wise, so they lag behind Ajax in overall quality within the Netherlands. But we do have two of the best players in the game in Alex and Koku, as well as an excellent forward in Farfan. The team plays 4-3-3 by default, so Bins will find himself leaking out towards the wings more often this season. So we'll be seeing a lot of chances to cross the ball in. I have an unconfirmed suspicion that team rank is also important for getting more positive scenarios on average once you're in the first league, and in this case we're up by a goal heading in. Nijmegen is going to get early chances here though, and you can see off the save I charged up my pass meter, but Alex instead takes a touch out for a corner kick, and on the ensuing corner, they're very dangerous on this game. Trick play, unmarked player, and it's already level. Not the start I was looking for at PSV at all. We're going to have to try and get that goal back. And later on in the game, we do get our own corner kick. It works out all well and good, but Farfan just puts it a little bit too far right, and it ends up in a defender. Not long after that, Bins gets a real opportunity to run with the ball. Someone was getting 3 in the box too, but I must not have put enough power in this because instead it's a chip to Kaluna. Oh yeah, Jason Kaluna's on our team too. But as a whole, this was not the debut I was hoping for. Nijmegen even had a chance to go ahead here, but the centre ball wasn't that good. It was low and straight into the defender. My own centre balls weren't that much better, however, and as the goalkeeper kicks this ball out, full time is going to be whistled, and it's 1-1, though we at least still gain 5 relation points for it. The extra 5 points I would have got can easily be made up in the mini-game. I've unlocked level 5 now, which is supposed to be harder because we've got more outfielders to keep the ball away from, but actually it's a blessing because now I have 5 attempts and some leeway because I only succeed 3 times here, but I still reach the cap on how high your motivation and attributes can rise off of a single minigame. What's less optimal, however, is that my ego is still stuck in the neutral zone, and this manager talk isn't going to put it in the positive again. I'm missing out on some attacking bonuses, and I could fix ego now, but it would cost me a week of training. So let's just move on to the next training game, Skill. This minigame focuses solely on Virtua Pro's one-on-one feature, and once you know the computer's tendencies and when to make your move, it can be relatively easy to win this minigame, though I don't do the best job of demonstrating that here, only going 1 for 3. We do at least unlock the next level. over the next month or so, I start getting events that we've already seen in Season 1. Our teammate asks us out for a meal. That's a motivation boost. We get the Webmaster event at the start of November again, and then immediately after that, I also get the chance to ask my teammates out for another meal. So team chemistry is very high, and we have enough motivation to do the skill minigame again. So my tactic for the one-on-ones is to start with a fake or two and wait for the opponent to do a lunge, at which point any simple move will beat the defender whilst they're still recovering from that lunge animation. However, a simple move only scores 3,000 points on a successful attempt, so there's a risk-reward factor in that more complex tricks will score you more points in the skill minigame, but with low dribble skill there's also a chance that your player will simply fail the trick. Tis a bit jank that we've drawn Feyenoord this early in the Champions League cycle. In fact, the way the player mode handles the Champions League is a bit jank in general, because as long as you're playing for a First Division club, you always get a chance to play in it regardless of league performance. And also, apparently from a lore perspective, we're only just now playing the playoff to get into the group stage. Well, in practice, it's effectively a 3-round single elimination tournament for us. Win in advance, win 3 matches, and we win the whole thing. And it all starts here with us being dropped in at extra time after a scoreless game. You'll notice I've jumped ahead to the second 15 already. Though I did have chances to score, they mostly weren't worth showing, except for Binns just narrowly missing on what would have been a spectacular bicycle kick. But you can see we're mounting up the pressure on Feyenoord here, down this right wing. We keep getting the ball back, and now Binns is going to whip across to Sibon, and he breaks the deadlock. So we score the potential late winner, and it wasn't that hard to maintain it. Feyenoord never looked like scoring here, and though I was unable to apply the same pressure that I applied in the previous sequence, I was able to control the ball for much of the remaining play, and PSV are moving on to the next European fixture, which takes place all the way in April for us, in the middle of a backloaded season schedule. We're finally going to get back into positive ego here at the start of December, as we are top of the league, but not for long, as for Season 2 onwards there's a charity event at the start of December, and if we donate a big sum of money, our ego is going to tumble, but I still want to do this because what we get is a publicity boost, and the publicity points are very useful for later on. The upcoming winter break will give me a chance to reflip our ego to positive, but in the meantime, here's another attempt at the skill minigame. I go 2 for 2, but I'll show off that sometimes the opponent can simply call your bluff on the fake-out strategy and make the tackle, so I end up with 7,000 points here when the condition to level up is 8,000. Note that right now my ego is low enough that I'm starting to get defensive boost from training, which can be useful for some players, but as a forward we don't really need it. I was taking a risk training with low condition here, but as it turns out my player didn't want to train anyway. So let's just move on to the point where we solve our ego problems for the rest of the season. You go to the clinic, and if you do self-assertiveness training you get positive ego. Meditation is the opposite. But the reason why I held off on this is that the first time you visit the clinic you meet Sarah. Sarah is one of your potential girlfriends on this game, and to build a relationship you have to go out with her and remember to give her birthday gifts. And I didn't want to do that in Season 1 because I was broke and couldn't go out. But now we have plenty of money, and I actually want to buy the power boots because they're going to be useful in the second half of the season. We've got a decent amount of speed, it's time to build up power. Oh, Mary's back. This time she's brought her big brother along to try and deal with the big bad football bully, and one of our options here is to do nothing and presumably let him win, but if we make an honest effort to stop him we will, because we're a professional footballer and they tend to be good at football and stuff. That event does, however, put me in an awkward spot condition-wise because I'm not going to have the condition to train safely next week, but I also wanted to take Sarah out at least once, and I decided to go for the Sarah route. We'll just rest next turn, and actually, it's not going to be that damaging because before the second half of the season, we get this motivational talk that puts our motivation to near enough maximum anyway. After taking that rest, I get 2 post-training events on January week 4. First, a chance to do some more work with the manager. I appreciate the passing boosts we got here in particular because those have been lagging behind so far. Afterwards, Farfan pulls us aside because he's lost confidence in his game recently, and the correct answer here is to practice. You get supportiveness and leadership boosts if you advise that. And with that, you'll notice we're already in February, so it's about time I wrap up the episode, but first, one more attempt of the skill minigame. Because on this occasion, my second attempt, I do a complex trick. I'm not sure how I did it, but I got 6,000 points for it. So even though I go 2 out of 3 again, I have 9,000 points, which is enough to reach level 3 on the skill, which means I'll get 4 attempts every time I try this from now on.